Facebook because I'm out in the country here. So thanks for joining us tonight. You do this. Welcome to the call. We'll get started in just a few minutes. I'm out here in beautiful North Dakota in the countryside. I'm out in a little town and actually at my mom and dad's place where I've got a couple of old cars and my buddies are unloading some car parts. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. We're gonna start here in 2 minutes. Tonight we're gonna be talking about some weight loss. I'll be talking about the products that we have and sharing my story, how much weight I've lost and how it's worked for me. And I'll share that with all of you. So we'll get started here in just a few minutes. All right. We're just about to the top of the hour. Don't you love this technology? I can be out in the country doing my thing and working at the same time. So here we go. We'll get started here. 1 more minute. Sounds like we got some thunder coming. Thunderstorm. What's that mean? Hail. We'll get hit with hail. That's what that means. Are you excited? I bet you are. I am. I'm super excited. I always like a good hailstorm, don't you? Nobody here yet? All right. All right. Well, hey, everyone. My name is Dr. Kurt Bisnick, and I'm out here in beautiful North Dakota. We're out in the countryside. We're actually, I'm actually here at my parents' property. They've got the old church in town. You can see that. And got some old cars here, and my buddies unloading a car off the trailer while I'm doing my conference call. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about the Sisel weight loss products, and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, how I've had my success, and share that story with you, and we can go from there. So welcome everyone. If you're listening to this recording, share it with people. I mean, who in today's world doesn't want to learn how to lose a little bit of weight and maybe a lot of weight? Anyhow, I'm going to kind of tell you my story. Growing up, I grew up out here, farm country, and working hard. I worked on farms starting when I was 13 years old. Never had an issue with weight. I was always about 165, 170 pounds. And I stayed that way until I got to college. And then, when and growing up, my mom had a big garden, and we had lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, and from the apple trees, the plum trees, things like that. And back in the 60s and 70s, we didn't have a lot of processed food. And I guess we ate a fair amount of bread, but it was all homemade bread. But we didn't have the sodas that they do today. I mean, back then, I mean, it was an 8 to 10 ounce bottle of soda. That's all you got, and it was a treat. It wasn't loaded with high fructose corn syrup. It was real sugar, and I really feel that makes a difference. And I think that a lot of scientists are starting to realize that there's a difference between corn sugar and reg and sugar from sugar cane. Um, your body can handle it and process it better, and I think it makes a big difference. I really, and I won't get into that whole spiel. I won't get up on that pedestal today and talk about that, but I just really feel that that's where my weight started, because when I got to college, then things were different. Of course, when you're in college, um, at least up here, a lot of us, back then, you know, you drink a little bit. You're finally getting out of mom and dad's house, and so you're drinking some beer and alcohol, and that puts weight on. And then you're not eating quite right. I remember eating a lot of burgers and pizzas, and drank a lot of soda. All of a sudden, I was drinking cans and cans of soda, and uh, and yeah, I went from 165, 168, all the way up to 190 pounds while I was in college. And back then, when you're in your 20s, early 20s, your metabolism is up. It's easy to lose weight. All you got to do is, knock off the soda and work a little bit harder. I've never been a gym rat. I've never been one of those people that likes to go to the gym and work out and that sort of thing. Um, so I just worked. I mean, we worked back then, and burnt that weight off, and I got back down to that 170 pounds, and I kept it off. Went to chiropractic college. When I was in chiropractic college, I stayed about 172, 175 pounds, and uh, and 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 it was easy. You know, I rode bicycle. We were down in Iowa. I rode bicycle. Um, you know, depending on the weather, but we tried to ride bicycle 20, 30 miles a day. And then I started going to the gym a little bit more, started working out, because I'm living in a city. So working out in a gym, lifting weights, and that sort of thing. And I was able to maintain my weight, about that 170, 175 pounds, no problem. And then when I graduated and got married, I found myself gaining weight again. And over the course of about 14 years of being married, I was back just tipping the scale over 200 pounds. So I put some weight on in those 14 years, 30, 25 to 30 pounds. And I'm just trying to give you my history, because I think it's important. And then I found myself a little bit heavier than that, and I was able to drop back to the 190, and I maintained that until I got in my motorcycle wreck. And all of a sudden, then I was in a wheelchair for 2 years. I was stressed. I was depressed, and then it really came on, and I found myself last year tipping the scale at almost 280 pounds. 280 pounds, and my son, who's in medical school, he graduates next week. he came back, and he's been giving me a hard time for a while, but he's telling me, Dad, he said, you're just high risk for having complications from COVID. You're high risk for having complications with heart attacks and different things like that. And he was genuinely concerned about my health. So last summer, when Tom Jr. said he was coming out with a weight loss product, I was super excited about it. And I said, you got to let me jump on that. I'll be a great test subject. I'll stick with it. So in November, I did get started, but really, that's the holiday season here in the United States. And so I never really did a whole heck of a lot. But right before Christmas, I started hitting it hard. And yeah, now I'm down, as of today, I'm down 47 pounds. I've lost about 5 inches around my waist. I feel great. I broke my back in December, and that's healed up rather nicely. I go for a 3 to 5 mile walk most every day, except for the days when it's raining or it's really cold out, which we still have occasionally, even though spring is here. But yeah, I feel like I'm doing really good. So I thought I would share with you tonight, what am I doing? What am I doing to make it work? So initially, when the product came out, when Sisel Thin came out, the formulation wasn't quite as strong. The initial formulation, the test formulation that Tom had made, Tom Jr. And so we had to take, I guess it was 6 to 8 of those capsules a day. And we didn't have the Sisel Sport. We just had the Sisel Thin. And, I found that it helped. And what it did is it helped to control my appetite. I found that I didn't crave food. I have zero cravings for any kind of food. In fact, most days now, I eat because I know that I have to have the nutrition. I have to have the extra calories from that. Just because your body needs nutrition, and you can't get it all from pills and potions and things like that. So I do eat, but I because I'm not craving anything, I can control what I eat very successfly. I can control it very successfully. And so I'll share with you what I'm doing that way. But typically, my day starts out, I have 2 black labs, a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old, and my 2-year-old dog wakes me up in the morning. And he wants to get up about 6:30, 7 o'clock, and he wants to eat. He loves to eat. And anyhow, so he gets me up in the morning, and I let him outside, and then I don't know, right or wrong, my dogs are spoiled. They get to eat human food. They eat what I eat. But in the morning, I'll typically have 1 egg, 1 slice of bacon. I scramble the eggs with either with cream cheese or with sour cream and regular heavy cream, unwhipped cream. I use a fair amount of butter or avocado oil in the frying pan. My whole idea is that I want to increase the amount of fat. I want to increase the amount of fat. I want to have my extra calories coming from fat, and which goes against all the things that we've been taught since the 60s and 70s, where they said fat was bad for you and that you should be consuming low fat, no fat. But I've been increasing the amount of fat in my diet, and I've been cutting back on the carbs. I especially cut back on the high glycemic carbs, the carbs that turn into sugar really easily, those are the ones that I'm getting rid of. So soda, yeah, gone. Any kind of fruit juices, gone. I've gotten rid of the pastas. I've gotten rid of the bread. Yeah, occasionally, you know, I come down here to my mom and dad's, and I have dinner with mom and dad, and my mom will bake a pie or a cake or something like that, brownies, and I'll have to indulge a little bit, but I watch it pretty good. I watch it pretty good. I stay away from the potatoes. I found that potatoes have some major impact on my weight loss, and but for breakfast, like I said, you know, typically one slice of bacon, one egg, and my dogs each get a slice of bacon and they get one egg. And what I do when I scramble my eggs is I scramble it up with spinach, and I scramble it up with tomatoes, sliced up tomatoes, and red, yellow, green peppers. I try onions. I try and throw a lot of vegetables in there. I think that one of the reasons that we gain so much weight is that we don't have enough fiber in our diet as well. So I try and get my fiber intake up around, you know, I'll be honest, it's not quite where I want it to be. I'd like to have it up around 35 grams a day, but I think I'm hitting pretty successfully between 20 to 30 grams per day. And I do that pretty easily with what I mix up into the eggs, and then, you know, with the other meals that I have during the day. So that's what I have for breakfast. And, you know, while before I get started cooking, I'll make myself a glass of the Sisel Sport. It's our new, I guess it's a pre-workout product, they call it, but I use it more or less as an energy drink. So in the morning, I'll mix up a Sisel Sport, and with my Sisel Sport, I'll take 2 of the Sisel Thin. I'll take my 3H pill. I take my Renovator. I take my calcium. I do that right away in the morning. That's my regimen. And I do that because, you know, I broke my back in December, and I want that calcium, that K2, to rebuild that backbone, which, you know, my neurosurgeon said I've done a really good job of getting that back to heal up. But the Sport and the Thin, I want the Thin about 20 minutes before I eat breakfast, because the whole Sisel Thin product, what it's designed to do is it uses something called BHB, beta hydroxybutyrate. And what the beta hydroxybutyrate does is it's a salt that your body produces when you go into ketosis. Ketosis is a metabolic state where your body burns fat as energy. And what they discovered, what the scientists discovered, was that when you take BHB, when you take these beta hydroxybutyrates, it triggers your brain into putting you into a fat burning mode. And that's where you want to be, because you don't want to burn muscle. Most diets, if you take a look at most diets, they cause you to lose muscle, lean muscle, while you're losing the fat. Well, who wants that? Who wants to lose lean muscle while you use fat? No. You want to lose fat. And so this beta hydroxybutyrate triggers your body to go into the fat burning mode, that metabolic state of ketosis. And whether you do a keto diet or not, it's going to help you put you into that fat burning mode. You may not go into ketosis, but you might go into that fat burning mode. And if you combine it with a keto diet, a keto lifestyle, what's going to happen is that you're going to burn the fat even better, because the diet itself is going to trigger you to go into that that fat burning mode as well, that metabolic state. And so some people, they have this misconception that you have to have an unhealthy diet. Like I've had people say, oh, isn't that one of those diets where you have to eat fatty steak and you have to eat bacon and all that. I mean, I have one slice of bacon, people. That's not that bad. And you could have, I mean, you could skip that really if you don't want to eat bacon. Some people can't eat it. I like to eat avocado in the morning. I'll slice up a avocado and I'll use half of the avocado. I'll smash it on my plate and put my breakfast on top of that. That's really good as well. And I'll have some blueberries. I'll have some strawberries in the morning, some fruit, and that starts my day. Typically, I get busy doing different things, making phone calls, doing three-way calls, working with some of my patients that I work with, and over the course of the next couple hours, even though I'm only getting about 350 calories in the morning, sometimes a little bit more than that, but typically less than 400 calories in the morning. I don't start noticing that I have any hunger until around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and so I'll fix myself something to eat. I make the dogs some lunch, their dog food or whatever, but I'll have something, usually a salad, something light. Maybe cook up some chicken wings, maybe a slice of fish or whatever. Depends on what I've got thawed out, whatever meat happens to be there. But I'll have some protein along with some vegetables. Again, I try and keep it pretty small, 3-4 ounces of meat is all, and it varies depending on what I have thawed out. I tend to eat a lot of wild game, a lot of wild caught fish that I've caught myself. I do buy salmon. Typically, I'll have 2 to 3 days per week, minimum 2 days per week, where I only eat fish. A couple years ago, I did some blood work, and a couple of my numbers were up. The C-reactive protein was up, the triglycerides was up, and my doctor suggested that I try and eat fish twice a week to get the omega-3s up, and that'll help lower the inflammation, that'll lower the C-reactive protein and the triglycerides, and it makes it so that you're at less risk for developing heart disease. Heart disease tends to run in my family, so that's something that I want to work on, and most of us should work on that. But I don't normally take the Sisel thin with that meal, but I will mix up a Sisel Sport with my lunch. I like it. It gives me a boost of energy. And then typically around 6 o'clock, I'll come back in and I'll cook myself up some dinner. And again, I'll have some meat, 3 to 4 ounces of meat, whatever happens to be thawed out, fish, chicken, buffalo, elk, deer, whatever I happen to have thawed out. And I have that along with vegetables. And sometimes I'll use some riced cauliflower and I cook it up in butter, make it like hash browns. And it's a good source of nutrition, and it's not the high glycemic meal like if you ate potatoes, and sometimes I like them. But before I start cooking, I'll take my 2 more of my Sisel thin, and that's it. That's it. And I use an app on my phone. It's called Carb Manager, and if you take a look at that app, you can get a free version of it. That's what works for me. I don't have the paid version. Paid version, you can get some recipes and things like that, but I don't use that. I use the free version. And on most days, you know, for those of you that have any kind of kidney disease, I started looking at that because a friend of mine asked me. He said, "Well, he's got some chronic kidney disease," and so I wanted to see if the keto diet was safe for him, and it certainly is. You just want to keep your proteins down, and for most people, um, 60 to 80 grams of protein per day is plenty. And for somebody with chronic kidney disease, that fits well within the ranges of what the doctors are saying is good for them. And for those of you that have some problems with gallbladder stones, gallstones, or maybe you've had your gallbladder removed, I think a lot of people have the idea that the bile acids is produced in the gallbladder, and the bile salts. What they do is they make it so that your body processes fats. So if you've had gallstones or you've had your gallbladder removed, one of the things that you may want to do is when you're eating those extra fats during the day, you might want to take a look at consuming more of your MCT, medium chain triglycerides, and that comes from coconut oil. And there's a reason that I'm recommending that, because they found that the MCT, the medium chain triglycerides, it doesn't need the bile salts to process that form of fat in your diet. And so it kind of puts an ease on that. You're and I was just going to say, like I said, there's a misconception that the gallbladder actually produces these bile salts. It actually stores them, and then when you eat a fatty meal, the gallbladder releases that, but it's your liver that actually makes it. So what I would say is that for all of us, we live in a toxic world. Why not try and take the stress off your liver as much as you can? And so that's why I find myself using a lot of coconut oil. I use a lot of avocado oil, and those things will help take some of that stress off the liver versus using butter. Although I really like the taste of butter, I cook in butter quite a bit too. But I try and use the medium chain triglycerides, the MCT, that comes from coconut oil. I use the avocado oil, and really that's it. That's my day. That's my lifestyle. When I use the carb manager app, like I said, it's I never go over 100 grams of protein a day. I try and keep my carbs, my net carbs, not the gross carb, but the net carbs. I try and keep that between 20 to 30. Although if I go up to 50, that happens a couple times a week. So I'm not in true what you'd call ketosis. And but I'm more leaning that way, more of a keto lifestyle, and it's working. It's working, and I've lost 47 pounds. I can tell that it's fat when I look in the mirror. You can see, if you go back to some old calls, that that you can see it right here. I don't have that, that extra fat there. It's a lot of loose skin that I'm working on tightening that up. And then down around the midsection, the belly, and around my arms, I noticing that that extra fat that that I had there, that's all going away as well. And I'm wearing, if you know me, you know that I'm cheap, I'm thrifty. So when I outgrow some of my clothes, where I was too big to fit in them, I just hung them in the back of my closet, and now I'm pulling them back out. I'm wearing some blue jeans that I haven't worn in over 10 years. Well, and for women, you probably wouldn't do that because your clothes go out of style. But for guys, I mean, what's the difference between, a pair of blue jeans today and a pair of blue jeans from 15 years ago? They're, you know, pretty much the same thing, right? And so I get to wear clothes that I already bought, and it's a fun thing. I'm wearing shirts that I bought a long time ago, and they fit better now than they've ever fit. And I'm just yeah, it's going really good. It's going really good. I sleep good. I'm getting honestly, between 6 to 8 hours a night. Depending on my dog. Sometimes he wakes me up a little too early. I got to work on that. But how do you train a dog to sleep in? I suppose I could throw him in the kennel, but I can't do that to my animals. They like to be out and about. So it's great. It's great. My blood pressure totally under control. I'm at 120/82 when I went and saw my neurosurgeon here 6 weeks ago, and she was very impressed with that. Because I was having a little bit of issues with blood pressure. It was bouncing around. It wasn't always high, but it wasn't staying down where I wanted it. And so that's not a good sign when you have that. So I've been noticing that I feel better that way, and I still continue to use my 4 Restore. That's the L-arginine product that Tom designed a number of years ago. L-arginine, L-citrulline, and what that product does is it removes plaquing out of the arteries. Well, we can't really say that. L-arginine removes the plaque out of the arteries, and then because of that, your arteries get more soft and pliable. It tends to, according to the Nobel Prize science on L-arginine, it reverses the effect of the plaquing, and it causes the arteries to soften, so that blood pressure isn't as much of an issue. So I continue to do that. That's a good thing too, and I want my blood pressure totally under control. A lot of good studies on it. They say that if you can get your blood pressure under control before you turn 60, that it can add a lot of years onto your life. If you're over 60, don't worry. They say that if you get your blood pressure under control, before you turn 80, it really makes a huge difference on your longevity, your health span as well. And folks, isn't that what it's all about? Aren't we just trying to get healthy? Aren't we trying to live healthy? Aren't we trying to live a good long health span? It's not, who wants to live to be 100 years old if you don't know who you are and you're being pushed around in a wheelchair, right? My goal is that when I get old, that I'm going to be taking care of myself. I'm going to be, living on my own, taking care of myself, and I hope that's what your goal is as well. I hope you all have that same kind of a goal. So that's what we're working on. Anyhow, yeah. So that's my testimonial. My goal is that I'm shooting for 80 pounds. It started out originally, I thought, well, I'll try and shoot for 60, and then I decided, that I wanted to do 70, and now, the way it's going, I'm going to shoot for 80. My son thinks that I should try and get back to my college weight. He thinks that I should go for the gusto. He said, lose 100 pounds. I might. If I feel as good as I am right now, and I don't have to do any more than what I'm doing right now, you bet. You bet. And so, folks, thanks for being with us tonight. Sisel's got some great products. There's a couple other ingredients in the Sisel Thin that make it work. Because you can get BHB, but We're one of the only companies that's added fucoxanthins. And what are they? Well, they turn up the heat. It's like turning up the heat in the oven. And when you do that, you melt the fat. And if you can melt the fat, your body's going to burn it better. Just like throwing butter in a frying pan. You know, cook it into your vegetables, right? Cook it into your foods, and so that's what we're doing is we're turning up the heat, and we're getting it so that we can burn that fat a little bit better. That's the fucoxanthin, and then on top of that, we've got some ashwagandha in there. And what ashwagandha is, it's an adaptogenic herb, and what that means is that it helps your body so that you can handle stress better. It manages the cortisol. So Sisel Thin does three things. BHB puts you in a fat burning mode. Fucoxanthin helps your body turn up the heat so you burn fat more efficiently. And ashwagandha to balance the stress, balance the cortisol, because I'll tell you what, stress will sabotage every attempt at losing weight. So if you're finding that you're taking 2 to 4 pills per day, you know, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, like I'm doing, and it's not working for you, bump it up to 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon. If that's not working for you, bump it up to 2 in the morning, 2 at noon, 2 in the afternoon, 2 at night. You know, 8 per day. You know, do what you have to do. Some people, I've got some friends of mine up in northern Minnesota. They told me that they can't handle taking more than 2 at a time. I said, well, just, you know, take 2 and 2 and 2. See how that's working. And they both lost over 20 pounds. So it's working. You know, and I find that my weight loss, it's not all at once. It's not like I have 2 pounds per week. You know, I don't jump on the scale, and sometimes some weeks it goes back up. I'll put the weight back on, and I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And then I'll stay at that increased weight, even though I'm still following the same protocol. I'll stay at that increased weight, and I'm like, what's going on? And then like this week, all of a sudden I'm down 7 pounds in 1 week. I mean, seriously, 7 pounds in 1 week. I mean, and really overnight. I jump on the scale on Monday, and then I jumped on the scale on Tuesday, and I was down by 7 pounds overnight. What the heck is up with that? Your body's weird. You know, it's weird how it handles things. It's weird how it does things, and so you just might find that that's it. But drink a lot of water. I find that the water helps to flush that fat out. So you want to do that. Good luck. Give me a call if you have any problems. Text me, email me. I'll help you out as much as I possibly can. I find that it really works. I've tried a lot of diets. I've done a lot of diets. I've tried the Atkins high protein diet. It didn't work for me. I've tried keto before. It didn't work for me. I tried another BHB product a couple of years ago. It didn't work for me. This is the first diet that I found that I really can say it's working. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for being with me. Bye-bye.